Welcome to Intersections. Really pleased to welcome Riley and Melanie Stairs to our set today. They come to St. John's Citadel pre-COVID, around Snowmageddon time maybe. We're going to learn a little bit more about who they are and how they've settled in here at St. John's Citadel in just a moment. So welcome to Intersections.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. Help us get to know you a little bit more. I know you've been around, but you've been around during some interesting times. Snowmageddon, COVID, and now here we are starting to emerge. And you're still relatively new to us here at the Citadel. And I know you've made some inroads and you know some people and they know you, but the larger part of the congregation may not. So this is an opportunity to introduce you to them. So neither one of you grew up here in St. John's Citadel. So tell us about where you did grow up and what life was like for you. Were you involved in certain activities as children? Were they church related? What were they? So Melanie, you want to start?
Sure. I grew up in Gambo, so I've been going to a Salvation Army church since the day I was born. My parents were very involved in Gambo Corps. So my whole life I've been a Sally Ann. Mm-hmm. And growing up I was involved in Sunday school, church every Sunday. We had a mime group when we were kids that I was also in. Started playing an instrument at probably 8 years old. Yeah. Went to music camp. I was the
prototypical Sally Ann.
Yeah,
kid,
I did it all, and I was there multiple times a week. Mm-hmm. So I've always had that background, and I always loved it. I had times when I wasn't as involved when I was in university and it was busier, but it's always been very important to me.
Part of your DNA,
yeah.
apparently, right?
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, thanks for bringing us up on that. How about you, Riley?
Well, before coming here, the most exposure I had to the Salvation Army was the fact that I grew up in a Salvation Army barracks in Lewisport, the old church. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So my dad was in the military growing up, so we moved around to a lot of different places.
So where in this country? Obviously different bases.
Yeah, different. Gander, I guess. Gander and Kingston were the only bases in Canada, but
and outside of Canada.
Yeah,
too?
so Germany for a couple of years when I was like 2
Where
and 3
in
years
Germany?
old. Lahr.
Lahr.
Yeah.
Baden, not too far from Lahr.
Okay. Yeah.
You didn't remember that one.
Oh, no.
I predated you. I was there when my father was a Salvation Army chaplain to, to the forces way back when.
Okay,
so tell us more about you.
So, I grew up in Florida and California, and then my parents were stationed in Gander for three different times actually, and I have like a lot of siblings as well, there's 10 of us.
Wow.
So they had 5 I think at the time when they decided that they'd like to find a place to actually put down roots and make home. Mm-hmm. They've been kind of globetrotting for a while, so they bought the old Salvation Army Church in Lewisport while my dad was stationed in Gander. And so that became, over many years, started to become like a house. Yes. A lot of work and a lot of renovations, and ultimately that's where the family, that was the home, and that's where we grew up. From the point when I was about 10 years old onwards, that was our home. So,
all right. So Gambo and Lewisport are not too physically apart.
Right.
No.
But may or may not have had anything to do with how you met. How did you meet?
Match.com.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it does work.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, like the commercial said.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So very good. So take us through the very tenuous part of that. So you met and you decided to actually physically meet. And
Oh, there's not much to it.
The
Got
rest
online.
is
And,
history.
Yeah. We talked for a few days and decided to get coffee and meet. And
yeah. Well,
Wow.
the way that works is you can see the different connection points.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we
Yeah.
got together and we kind of hit it off.
Well, you've been married for 2.5 years or so,
Yeah.
give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And so how long before marriage was all of this happening? Is this?
Year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a
Roughly.
half.
Mm.
Yeah. When we
Smitten.
met,
Yeah.
I was just starting massage school, so we kind of like waited a bit and then got married, and yeah.
Okay, well, isn't that interesting? All right, so now get us into how you came to be here at St. John's Citadel.
Okay.
What was that process for you, and what attracted you to come here?
Well, I already had somewhat of a connection
Yes.
because my Uncle Dennis and Aunt Ivy and my cousin Sarah have always gone here. So as a child, I had come here a couple of times, like when we'd come into the city to do errands or visit or whatever it was. So after moving back in here in 2016, back to the city,
Was
I
that
didn't
to
really
work
know.
or go to school?
I moved back in first to work,
Okay,
and school kind of came after.
okay.
And then I just kind of started going here a little bit more and kind of wanted to make that connection. And then for a while once I met Riley, we were going to the Pentecostal church down the road for a little bit, but I really missed that Army band, the whole thing. So then I was like, no, this is where I'm going to go. And since I already had family here, it felt more natural to come
good-
here than to
yeah.
go to a different Salvation
Okay.
Army. Yeah.
What we're finding as we go through these interviews, if you've had a chance to look at any of them, is that one sort of has a foot in the door here and brings the other with them. It's kind of interesting and sort of similar for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're the dragger and you're the draggee.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so when you made the decision, what did you get involved, and you decided to come here and do come here, what kinds of things did you get involved in, and what are you finding out about, for want of another way of putting it, the temperament of St. John's Citadel that appeals to you?
Well, roughly, I think the fall that we had decided that we were going to make this our home church.
Yes.
Leah Antol contacted me and asked me to be involved with Songsters.
Yes.
And
Because you're a piano player.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So I guess she heard or something, or anyway. So I've been involved with the Songsters and doing the accompaniment with them to the best of my ability, and enjoying that quite a bit. And also gotten involved with the live streaming, helping Steve out in the sound booth a little bit.
Yes.
And so kind of wherever I'm asked, or I've been asked to be involved, and a little bit with the worship team.
Yes.
So,
You're
yeah.
finding your place.
Yeah.
You're finding your place.
Yeah, where I'm needed, and
Good.
yeah.
And we need lots of people to do lots of things.
Well, there you go.
But Songsters is something that you two share,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of nice to have that thing together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But on a Wednesday night, I happen to know the way the scheduling works, so you're here earlier because you have band, right?
So we band after Songsters.
Band, right.
Yeah.
right,
So we
right, right.
come, go to Songsters, and then I have band. So most times he just waits.
Can I ask you, Melanie, you've mentioned the band a couple of times so far. What is it about Salvation Army Band that attracts you, other than the fact that you've got a horn or whatever when you were 8 years old and had to learn how to play it? But what is it about it that attracts you and keeps you? Because it has something to do with faith, I think. There's some element of faith in, obviously the music that they play is sacred music, right? So can you talk a little bit about that? You just like the genre of banding music, brass band?
I guess it's all of it. I love that, like, coming together and communally making music.
Yes.
And working together to create that. And I think through music, I feel quite a connection to my faith, quite a connection to God. Yeah, so I guess it's just that form of worship really appeals to me because I do love music and
Wonderful.
making music.
And music has that way, and I'm sure, Riley, as you sit down and play, and I've listened to you play a fair bit now, the kinds of things that you play here, and beyond all that, there is something about music that does something to your heart.
Yeah.
And of course, the whole God experience is a heart experience, right?
Yeah.
It is partly intellectual as well, but certainly heart.
Yeah.
You find something similar for you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my piano teachers told me, she's not a church follower or Christian anyway, but she mentioned something to me as I was preparing for a Kiwanis Music Festival when I was probably 15 or so, that, this Bach prelude and fugue was like a prayer, right? And something about that kind of rattled around in my mind then, and it's kind of always stuck with me, that music is, it is like another language, and it can certainly be a language between you and God, no matter what you're playing.
No question.
Whether it's just art music, classical music, whatever, sacred music.
Yeah.
It can be a prayer to God. It's a form of expression. So,
and it moves hearts.
Yeah.
It moves people on a very, very visceral level.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So it's great to be involved with music in the church, and that's, I don't love singing in public, but that's my singing.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or some people don't feel that they want to speak about such things, but you can play it.
That's right. Yeah.
Or you can sing it, or you can play it through your horn and all the rest of it. So
Yeah.
absolutely, it's another way of worship too.
Yeah.
Something completely different. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do, Melanie?
Let's see. I like a lot of different things. I've always loved being in the kitchen and baking. I grew up doing that from the time I was big enough to sit on the counter with my mother. And I enjoy sewing a bit. I really enjoy being outside and doing anything like that. Like I'm big into running and just hiking, just being outside, out in boat when I'm out home.
Sure.
Lots of things. Reading, you name it.
You're eclectic, right? You're eclectic.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. How about you, Ron?
I love tinkering with something. So like
how things work? Or?
Yeah, like working on an old, like I'm known for buying something and just putting money and effort and time into just making it better and improving it.
Okay.
So old car or old chainsaw or something. So I'll spend a lot of time just fixing stuff up. Yeah,
work,
old piano, whatever.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so let's go to the world of work a little bit. You've referenced something in the past. I'll give you a moment, but you just mentioned the word piano.
Oh yes.
And let's talk about your work a little bit, and just tell us what you do.
Well, I'm a piano technician, so that's that covers tuning, but also the repair and rebuilding side of pianos. So I'm the tradesman that works on pianos.
How did you get into that line of work?
Well, I was planning to go to music school when I was late teens.
Yeah.
But didn't really see myself as a music teacher or performer, composer, really. Just couldn't see a future for me in that. Always had a real mechanical aptitude and interest in working with my hands. So somewhere along the line I realized there was a trade working with the instrument.
Right. Where did you do your work, your training?
So I did an informal apprenticeship with a guy in Harbour, Maine, and worked for him for about 7 years.
Wow.
So he trained me and
And here you
working
are.
on the job.
And now your work is certainly around this province, but beyond?
So working for the former employee, I did a lot of work in the Middle East for him. So Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, go over that way 2 or 3, 4 times a year for a period of time and work for clients over there, and then also clients around Newfoundland, about as far west as the Bayvert area. Everything east of Bayvert. You can see my face a few times a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. I hope that leads to something really special down the road and longevity.
Oh,
in
yeah.
doing it. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You tinker also, but in a rather different kind of way. Tell us about what you do.
Yeah, well, I've been a massage therapist for about 2 years now. Before that, I actually was a teacher in what I like to call a former life. But I am a massage therapist now, so I have a clinic in our home, and I just run my own business, and it's wonderful. I really enjoy it, making people feel better in their body, to function better, and just even if it's just de-stressing, and it's quite
Wonderful.
rewarding.
So this you've been doing for how long? A couple of years, you said?
Yeah, about 2 years now.
So marriage,
Mm-hmm.
career change,
Yes.
house.
Yeah.
Now, those are 3 of the major stressors in life. And
Yeah.
they seem to have all come to you at the one time, and now
Yeah.
we'll add a 4th.
Yeah.
You're about to have a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thrive in chaos, apparently.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like a very full life, and going to get more full,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Please God, everything is going to be good.
Mhm.
Let's talk about faith. Faith is personal. So it doesn't come to us because I was taken to church as a child, and that all helps. It's formative, no question. But the personal decision about faith. My mom and dad couldn't make it for me, and I suspect your mom and dad couldn't make it for you, either of you. And so talk about a little bit about faith as a personal choice. When did you first know that, as more of an adult, that faith needed to play a role in what was going to happen in the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Riley, why don't we start with you?
Well, there's different times in my life, I guess, but even just when I left home, those months after leaving home as a young adult, for me, it was I almost moved in to another person's home, not a Christian, and there was a lot, like my brother was really sick at the time. There was a lot of things, kind of turmoil in my life, and I realized that, I need to find, I needed to be connected with a church, and that faith is very important to me, and I don't want to, I couldn't go too far away from it. So it was kind of a searching time.
Yes.
And so I got connected with Cornerstone,
Yes.
which was at the time on Military Road, back 2007, I guess.
Yes.
And so up until I came here, that was my church, and I was involved there quite a bit. And so, through, that kind of grounded me through all the following years of, more turmoil and more growth and all that life.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Melanie, how about yourself?
I almost find it hard to pinpoint kind of
That's fair.
exactly. I think that comes from always being involved. It's always there. So I think there's been times when faith has been less important to me. and I've gone further away from it. But it's always been there. I never like completely left the church. But it's tricky to know. I guess the strongest my faith has been, and when I really knew I needed it, would probably be probably 2016. I think that's the right year. COVID makes time.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, we had some family tragedy happen, and I think after that it was difficult, but I guess after that I really knew, like, this is where I always feel the most solid, when I'm involved in going to church, and I am, I guess, not working on my faith, but however you describe that sort of thing.
The interesting thing that I'm hearing, and I'll just paraphrase a little bit, is that, yeah, and it's been the experience of so many, that you had exposure to faith. It's sort of like a drawing closer, a moving apart, drawing back closer again. And then in those apart times when you're not quite as keen, maybe, the seed's planted.
Mm-hmm.
The seed is there, and when something comes up in your life that causes issues, you have a touchstone, a place to go, a refuge. That I need to, for myself, I need now to get back closer to that flame, if you will, right, and to see what it is for me, and because it's the support, that's required. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
Okay. So present day, and this is the challenge for all of us, I think, as Christ followers, is how do we keep our faith vibrant and up to date? And some people say they practice the spiritual disciplines of reading the Bible and praying and meditation and so on and so forth. What's it for you? How do you do that? Different for everybody, but.
Well, what you just mentioned is true. That's all important. That's all key to being connected and staying vibrant.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much more you can add to that, really.
I think you already have.
Have I?
I think you have.
Yeah.
And I think it's music.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Does this resonate with you? As
Yeah.
it does for me if I'm alone and I'm playing the piano.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're transported to a little different place where your thoughts are perhaps a little bit more keen about faith things, right?
Right.
And so you've mentioned that already, so I would add that to your list.
Yeah.
And similarly for you, and
Yeah, I've always found when I'm not involved in the making of music, I don't want to sing by myself or play by myself.
Right.
But put me in that group, and I think for me there's something about that communal music making of worship music is very powerful.
I've seen it in you a few times, like if she'd come home from a band practice and I wasn't there, she'd be just lit up. Totally different from when she left to go to band practice.
Right.
So it definitely pours into her,
and it's
lights her
usually
up.
good kind of tired, because that's work, right?
Yeah.
It is, ready, tired, want to go to bed, but kind of too
Wired.
Yeah.
Before we leave our time together, do you have any words of encouragement to others that find faith to be a challenge? Can you draw back on your own experience, perhaps, and give a word of encouragement to those who may be experiencing current challenges as to why it's important to hold on?
Well, I've gone through some difficult periods in my life that a lot of people have. It's very common, but sometimes you might not expect from a churchgoer. And so I would just encourage people to know that other people that may be closer than they think have gone through challenging situations, and don't be afraid to look, to find someone to talk to, and you might be surprised at how relatable their situation is to
Good
people around them.
Absolutely. Something from you?
Yeah. I also think find something that is your way to, I guess, even worship or connect to your faith. If that isn't music, maybe it's reading a book. Get even a book recommendation, even if it's not the Bible, but it's like a spiritual book or something that for you brings you a connection to your faith, and just start with that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. The walk of faith is never easy.
Mm-hmm.
And there are those who look at those of us who claim that, well, you're churchgoers and da-da-da. Everything must be hunky-dory for you guys. No, sorry, that's not the way it is. Just because you come to church, you don't have a panacea for everything, right? But it's a process, and it's a work in progress. Right?
Always,
Work in progress. Thank you so much for sitting with me today and sharing a little bit about who you are with our viewers. And we look forward in the near future to hearing that there is a new little one with you.
Yes.
And we look forward to sharing all that joy with you as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.